Hello folks, and welcome to this week's video, which is part 2 of a hi-fi news duo. Last week was part 1, surprisingly enough, and if you missed that one, I'll put a little link above. You'll find it there. So let's get straight down to part 2, shall we? And to begin part 2, well, we're kind of starting part 2 where we left part 1, and that's with Luxman. Now, in part 1, we ended with a couple of Luxman amplifiers. Well, they've been busy chappies. They're also producing a turntable, and that's what we're going to look at next. In fact, the Luxman PD151 Mark II, no less, sporting a front-mounted interface. This belt-driven turntable design offers 3 speeds, so yes, you do get 78 RPM. Speed, in fact, can be tweaked in plus or minus terms by 6% via the new high-torque Luxman DC motor. Speed is actually monitored via the PID, which apparently stands for Proportional Integral Differential. This is a feedback control loop. Basically, that means the motor quickly gets up to speed, corrects any minor errors on the fly, and holds control over potential large fluctuations. Bottom line, the speed should be on the nail at all times. You get an aluminium platter, which is a high mass affair, weighing in at 4 kilograms, giving it a bit of a flywheel roll in terms of speed rotation. Underneath is a steel bearing which integrates PEEK materials. You get a rubber mat, but apparently it's not one of those cheap and nasties I've looked at in earlier reviews in this channel. It is in fact of Luxman's own design. To the right is an S-shaped arm, which is also of Luxman design. It's called the LTA 309 and includes knife edge bearings with an aluminium base, with the usual tracking force and anti-skate tools added. It arrives with a SME type removable head shell as well. On the top of the plinth lies a 10mm aluminium sheet, and that sits over a matte black lower housing, while the front fascia features an on-off switch, speed selector and indicators. There's also a dust cover, and that's normally sold separately. Well, saying that, I do have a price here, but that does include the dust cover, and that price in the UK at least is £5,000. Now, you might view £5,000 as being pretty darned high end. Well, you've seen nothing yet. Let me tell you about Aurigen. Aurigen? I don't know. Aurigen. I'm going to stick with Aurigen. These are UK built speakers, actually from the Isle of Wight. That offers the Hang 'em High loudspeaker looks, as you can see in this image. Designed, developed and built by William Icos. I hope I pronounced that right, William. Apologies if not. The Aurigens are a pair of 7-ohm speakers, hand-built speakers, that is. Now, apart from the look, in terms of performance, I wondered what made these speakers different from the norm. The company said, and I quote, "For over 50 years, loudspeakers have used filters to channel parts of the music to different drivers in their front panels. The drivers are all different sizes and are made from different materials. All good practice in theory, but in reality, the act of this varied filtering subtly shifts tiny elements of the music that you hear. So, yes, it sounds like Ed Sheeran, but you instinctively know he's not in the room with you, and you're merely listening to a pair of loudspeakers. With the Aurigen, the unfiltered sound is much more realistic. Apparently also with these speakers, you don't have to sit in the usual between the speakers to get your stereo effect. You can stand anywhere in the room and these speakers will give you a similar level of high performance. Oh, and that suspension arc that you can see in the images here that holds the actual cabinet, well, that is hand built from 15 layers of bamboo by the award-winning furniture designer Jason Heap. Each of those arcs takes over 200 hours to build, and then it's sprayed with the same kind of paint you would find on a yacht. Now, there are two 130mm bass drivers here and 8 smaller drivers for the mid-range and your treble, and they are known as, let me get this right, Sonio Isotactic drivers. Now, Sonio Isotactic, what does that mean? I need confirmation, but I think it means that all of the drivers are the same in terms of the sonic characteristics and in terms of their chemical composition. So they're all speaking with the same voice. I know that isotactic is a word which is used to describe car tires, and with 4 tires, you want them to all perform and behave in the same way, don't you? Well, it's the same with these speaker drivers. They're all performing and behaving in the same way. So that backs up that unfiltered comment that I gave you earlier. To drive these speakers, you're looking at a 50-watt amp, or if you have a valve amp in triode mode, you only need 12 watts. They're pretty high in terms of sensitivity, and as you might guess, they're pretty high in terms of price. Now, this is a brand new product from the company, and they're not sure whether to sell direct or via a distributor. If they do go through a distributor, you're looking at a price of around £320,000 for a pair. If they sell direct, well, that price will lower by £80,000. So, good news there, hey. Next up, well, sometimes I talk about hi-fi and cars, and this one is no different. We're looking at Range Rover, the Range Rover Sport, and inside, well, there are speakers from Meridian. In fact, the new Range Rover Sport is available now with the option of one of 3 Meridian audio performance system packages called Sound, 3D Surround and Signature. The Sound system features 15 speakers, a 400-watt amplifier, center channel and subwoofer. The 3D surround level steps up to 19 speakers, a 800-watt amplifier, center channel, subwoofer, rear surround speakers, and front heights. The premium package installs so many speakers inside the Range Rover, I'm not sure there's any space left for you to sit in it. This has 29 speakers, a 1430-watt amplifier, center channel, subwoofer, rear surround speakers, front and rear heights, and headrests in each of the 4 seats. For the 3D surround and signature options, you can have something called Tailgate Event Suite. That's an optional extra. This comprises of 4 additional drive units. Now, when the Tailgate Suite is activated, the car turns selected speakers off to put the emphasis on the speakers towards the rear of the car. All 3 models feature what's called tri-field multi-channel audio from the 2-channel stereo content, while the 3D surround and signature systems include Tri-Field 3D, which delivers 3-dimensional multi-channel audio from 2-channel stereo content. Price of the car, including those speakers, well, I think you're looking around 80,000 upwards to 100,000 for the top spec model. We're staying with top specs and high end, and we're looking at another turntable. and in particular the reference Jubilee turntable from Clearaudio. Now, the original reference was Clearaudio's first ever turntable launched back in the 80s, and it featured a distinctive boomerang-shaped resonance-optimized chassis, which the new reference Jubilee reprises, now replacing the earlier acrylic version with a Panzerholz wood and aluminium construction. You get a 6 centimeter thick main platter constructed from POM, which is polyoxymethylene. Do I get a medal for saying that? And that rotates on a special version of the brand's ceramic magnetic bearing, or CMB, as people like to talk about it in the local pub. Below and built into the heavy 8.5 kilogram stainless steel subplatter is Clearaudio's optical speed control, in which an optical sensor takes a reading of the subplatter's speed and delivers that reading to the control unit. The control unit then regulates by adjusting the motor's voltage via the amp. Intriguingly, inside is a 12-bit DAC. Now, this generates a motor reference voltage, which is converted using discrete electronics into an analog voltage signal. Hence, this digital reference signal is used to compensate for slow movements or drifts of the platter due to things like temperature, or maybe oil viscosity, or belt friction, things like that. So this DAC helps to keep the speed true. The motor itself is brand new. It's a high torque core system, 24 volt DC motor, as I say, with a belt drive. The entire motor housing is decoupled from the main chassis, suspended by a network of rubber tight ropes. This is a heavy turntable at 22 kilograms, and the price is £17,500. Now we're going from super high-end prices to super low-end prices, and Lenco, who've announced a turntable and a pair of speakers. As for the turntable, well, Lenco has announced the new LBT188 Bluetooth turntable, which arrives in either a walnut or a pine finish and is priced at a penny short of £220. The LBT188 is a manual, belt-driven, twin-speed turntable. Now, this thing is packed with features, so you get Bluetooth in there. There's a USB port to allow you to, as it were, rip your vinyl to an external digital file. You get a one-piece tone arm, and hanging off the end of that is an Audio-Technica 3600 cartridge with a conical stylus. Looking at this turntable, I'm sort of reminded of a TIAC TN280BT. There are similarities, at least in terms of the plinth, if not the arm. Similarly, I also see similarities with the, how do you pronounce this, turntable. Have you seen that model, by the way? I haven't tested it myself, haven't seen it in the flesh. Turntable spelt without any vowels, so turntable, I suppose you pronounce it. Anyway, again, I see similarities in that plinth with this new Lenco. Lenco also offers a pair of powered Bluetooth speakers called the SPB260BK. These are priced at £170 for the pair, and they're powered by an internal 60-watt amplifier. You also get a remote control. You'll find a USB port on there, which acts as a source for music-loaded USB sticks. If you need more information, as with all of these news items, I will put links below in the description. Let's turn to amplifiers, shall we? And the British HiFi brand Exposure, which has announced a new 3510 pre-power amplifier combo. The 3510 pre-amplifier includes 6 line inputs, with the option to substitute one of these to fit a moving coil or moving magnet phono module, or a plug-in DAC. There's 2 main RCA outputs and 1 tape output, a rarity these days, but lovely to see. High-quality relays are used for import source selection, while audio output stages use discrete transistor Class A output buffers. On the AV input, there is a choice of fixed or variable gain, allowing configuration as either a regular stereo input or a fixed gain home cinema input. The 3510 preamp features all discrete transistors in the gain stage with a hybrid power supply circuit designed. Now there's also a 3510 power amplifier that pushes out 110 watts into 8 ohms. For this box, the company talks about enhanced linearity and lower distortion at high power output, and with extra smoothing added to the power supply. Both components feature Exposure's minimalist design with full aluminium casework and extruded front panel. Both are available in black or titanium and come with a 3-year guarantee. Both the preamp and the power amp are available, priced at £1,590 each. Now, to end this video, we're going to look at a new release from musical Fidelity, and they have something called the MX Stream. This is the company's first high-end audio-optimized streamer and network bridge. The MX Stream is a transport-only network device that can deliver an online or network streaming service to your DAC, so long as it has a USB input. Each PCB inside the unit has its own PSU and voltage stabilization components. Similarly, the CPU has been upgraded with an audio-optimized clock. Now, that's important because this is different from the sort of clock you might find in a basic computer. On top of this, every audio file is passed through a, well, the company call it a sort of detox section, and basically this removes unwanted interference that can later become noise. The MX Stream is operated by a specialized piece of software from the company, which gives access to, well, the usual gang: Spotify, Tidal, Qobuz, Internet Radio, and all the others. NAS and USB drives can be added to for music sources. It's also possible to rip and automatically tag your CD library when you attach an external optical drive to one of the USB inputs. Further, the MX Stream is also Roon ready for a one-click integration into a Roon ecosystem, as well as being UPnP DLNA enabled, and it also supports Bluetooth. The MX Stream will support audio formats up to 32-bit 384 in PCM and DSD256. Now, if you hook a computer onto the rear through USB and you flick a switch on the front, in this configuration, all music played through the connected computer will benefit from the MX Stream's detox process for improved audio performance. So, one to think about if you like to run a laptop in your HiFi system. Now, musical Fidelity call this a high-end product, but this high-end and this high-end, the price for this might not be as high as you're possibly thinking. It is in fact priced at £859. And that's it, folks. Thank you very much for staying to the end of the video. If you can, possibly, please, down below, click on the like and subscribe buttons if you haven't already done so. There are other links down there, including all the products I've mentioned in this video. There's my Facebook group and my website, and there's all kinds of stuff over there you won't find here, plus my Patreon page, which keeps this channel going. Without the help of my wonderful patrons, this channel doesn't exist because it directly funds the thing. There's all kinds of exclusive stuff over there on Patreon. There's my ongoing HiFi tour and there are buyer's guides, and there is a batch of text-based features and all kinds of stuff that, again, you won't find on this channel. Now, I'll be back on Friday for Fun Tune Fridays, and I hope to have your company then. Until that time, folks, bye-bye for now.